Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we have our first interim report for the upcoming update related to those event tokens that I was talking about yesterday and speculating on as far as the two potentially more characters to come from that update. We now have confirmation that at least two of the characters, and hopefully the two that will be unlocked through these biometrics that we can buy using the tokens, will be Titania and Absorbing Man. Now, some of you may be saying, who the hell are these B tier characters? And I have some good news for you. They're actually tied to a very interesting storyline. They're pretty cool characters in and of themselves, so if they're the only two characters that we get from this update, it's really not a bad thing. But we have a much bigger looming hope for this update that includes these characters, but even more. So I will start off by saying I was wrong, and I have pretty strong doubts about my previous assertion about the 8th city and about it being a Defenders update. With this confirmation of these two super villains, and with this photo that was released, or this picture that Night Nurse posted on Mobrum a few hours ago with Thor specifically going after the enemies, I have a very strong feeling that this is related directly to the Fear Itself storyline. If you guys are not familiar with the Fear Itself storyline, I did cover it in some depth way back when I did an origin story for Sin. Now, I had some help with that storyline because I wasn't terribly familiar with it myself at the time. I'm much more familiar with it now, and I have to say that seeing the developers of the game specifically choose Thor to be the one in this press image to go after Titania and Absorbing Man leads me to believe, at least, you know, it's very likely that this is leading towards the bigger event surrounding Fear Itself, which is fantastic. It means we're going to get lots of new villains, and it means we're going to get potentially epic uniforms for two characters that should be beloved. One of them I know is beloved, and one of them I think should be beloved, but isn't so much right now. So what exactly can we expect, first of all, from these two characters? Because I want to cover what we are guaranteed to get, and then I want to hit you guys with the speculation. I don't want to get too ahead of myself again, because 24 hours ago, I was wrong. So Titania and Absorbing Man, they're kind of like husband and wife. You can kind of look at them as Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but they're super villains, and they're not as well known, I guess, as Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. There's no Netflix series about them yet. However, they're pretty cool super villains. Titania had this radiation thing happen to her, and she's kind of like She-Hulk. You can picture her in the same way. Super strong, good reflexes, very strong, tough, impervious to damage on her skin at that level. And I would expect her to be a combat supervillain. I'd be surprised if she took on any other typing for her. I don't have high hopes for her overall kit. I expect it to be somewhere along the power lines or power levels of She-Hulk, but she could have an interesting leadership that kind of mirrors She-Hulk's leadership, or has some kind of ulterior thing where it gives maybe a higher bonus, maybe 75%, but it's only against superheroes or something wacky like that. I don't know. Absorbing Man, on the other hand, is the one that's a little bit more interesting. He actually got his powers, which I'll get into in a moment, but he got his powers from Loki, who wanted to basically soup up someone to help him defeat his brother Thor. Now, what are Absorbing Man's powers? Well, kind of like Mystique, in the sense that he can absorb something and then turn into that something. So if he touches water, guess what? He's water. If he touches the Reddit, he's suddenly a giant Goomba. If he touches a bunch of sand, Anakin would hate him, but he would also turn into sand. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's basically the general gist of things that you need to understand about Absorbing Man. He touches something, he absorbs its properties. So if he touches something soft, he becomes like Drake's lyrics. If he touches something hard, you get the point. Now, I have my doubts about how they're going to manifest his powers. It could become a very vanilla type interaction. I doubt that we're going to see actual absorbing, because that would be very difficult to code with so many characters and so many different attacks and even so many different types. You know, we have all of the elemental types plus physical plus energy plus things that are kind of dual typed. You know, what happens if he touches Sharon Rogers? What does he become? What kind of nightmare emerges from that interaction? Who knows? But I do await to see what Netmarble will do, because if anyone can be creative with it, it's them. Also, I expect Absorbing Man to be either combat or universal as a villain. And I say universal because he gets his powers from an Asgardian, much the same way that Destroyer isn't really a thing, but he was created by an Asgardian. Probably unlikely, but it would be cool to see a new universal supervillain, especially if they're not native tier 2 like a lot of the Black Order, and if they're good, because that would be nice for Shadowlands and other game modes. Those are the two characters that we have confirmed, and those are my predictions for their typing, for what kind of skills we can expect, and what kind of power level we can expect. Nothing too fantastic, but I would say a solid B tier. That is the confirmed part, and that is the less interesting part. Everything that hasn't been confirmed yet, but that is looming on the horizon potentially, is way more epic. I'm talking, take the biggest, baddest superhero, think of who they are in your mind right now, and then take the biggest, baddest, strongest, tallest mutant, and think of who that is in your head as a supervillain, and guess who could be coming to the game? Yes, that's right. A brand new uniform for Hulk and the frickin' Juggernaut, plus a uniform for him. How does this all make sense? Well, in the Fear Itself storyline, if you haven't already paused the video and gone and searched it up because you're a smart person and you're a enterprising young gentleman or gentle person or gentle lady, gentlewoman, the Fear Itself storyline essentially revolves around Sin. And what Sin does, who is the daughter of Red Skull, the one who came out with Sharon Rogers in that update a long time ago that no one cares, that I tier 2'd recently, hello, she finds this hammer, and this hammer, kind of like Mjolnir, summons this like super badass guy who's the Serpent. He's kind of like a big enemy of Odin. So he's bearded, he's old, he's kind of like a dragon, whatever. Serpent then gives Sin, who is now transformed into this new being called Skadi, and she's way badass, the power to imbue others with other hammers, and they will be known as the Worthy. So how Thanos has his kind of people, Apocalypse has his horsemen, you have your heralds of whoever, right? Galactus has Silver Surfer. Skadi, or Sin with a really cool uniform, will have her Worthy, and she hits Hulk up with a hammer, and he becomes a villain, so he could get a new uniform. She hits Titania, not hits, but she gives Titania and Absorbing Man hammers, so they also could potentially get uniforms in addition to their default look that we can see in the press released images that Netmarble has released. We're also additionally potentially looking at new characters like Grey Gargoyle, Atuma, The Thing from Fantastic Four, and Juggernaut, as I mentioned before. Now, that's a lot to take in, but it's possible. It's possible, especially because if you count the Worthy and you count Sin, you get 8, which is the number on the coin. Yes, I know it could just mean August, as many of you ingenious commenters in the YouTube have mentioned below, but it could be the Worthy, the 7 Worthy plus Sin, or Skadi in this case. So we wouldn't be getting 8 new characters, but we would be getting 6 new characters plus 4 uniforms. That is pretty crazy. 2 uniforms for new characters, and then a uniform for Sin, who sorely needs one, and hopefully a badass uniform for Hulk, who could honestly use one. We could also be seeing a 9th character as the Serpent himself, although I am a bit doubtful about that one specifically because it also breaks the rule about the token and that kind of stuff. But all in all, we're setting ourselves up potentially for disappointment, but also for a badass update if this is what it says it is. This could make Hulk great again. This could make Sin a reasonably good character because she's on the fringes now as a below average tier 2, and this uniform, you know, has a lot in store. In general, this storyline really bumped up the power level of a lot of the characters that were involved, and it took multiple Marvel heroes, multiple Avengers and in some parts, to take down even one of these Mjolnir-esque wielding supervillains. To put it in perspective, guys, against Sin, it took Captain America wielding Thor's hammer, Thor, and other superheroes just to take her down. That's insane. Now, I know that Netmarble might not necessarily reflect that power level, but just the fact that they could bring something like that to the game is actually really exciting, and I'm hoping it comes as part of some sort of storyline, and it's not just, new characters thrown at us. I hope maybe there's some new gameplay potentially, and maybe if we don't get those uniforms, at least we can get some rebalancing for some of these characters in light of the fact that they're getting, you know, this kind of spotlight thrown on them. So that is the total rundown as far as what we can expect from Titania and Absorbing Man. At the very least, we're getting two pretty interesting supervillains. At most, we're looking at a pretty sizable update, and this comes alongside Apocalypse, comes alongside the Shadowland closure, which has now been confirmed, and it's shaping up to look like the next 2 months are going to be full of new gameplay, new characters, new uniforms, and hopefully new storylines. So I personally am super excited about this. I mean, Sin is a very fun character to play. If you guys have not checked out any of the live streams, I love her gameplay and how she moves around so much, and I can't wait to see if she actually becomes a viable character in a lot of different game modes with this uniform. I can't really speculate on the uniforms otherwise, but getting potentially characters like Juggernaut and the Thing, although I doubt the Thing heavily because of the recent issues with Fantastic Four and how they were pulled out of Marvel Heroes. If you haven't been following that, you should look it up. But we may even get part of the Unworthy, and you know what? Part of the Unworthy, or part of the Worthy, I should say, is better than none. So let me know what you guys think of this, you know, former speculation, now confirmed 2 supervillain update at minimum. And let me know what you think of the Fear Itself update and how it could be reflected in this game. What kind of new game modes could Netmarble bring about, or what kind of storyline could they tack on to the end of Chapter 12, which is where we've left off. I don't think it's going to be an epic quest, but hit me up in the comments with what you can expect or what you want to see them do. And of course, guys, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.